What's going on, everybody? It's me, Weep here, with a new What If on What If Naruto had an Adolla Burst. If you have not already, please make sure to like, comment down below what you thought of the video after watching it, and subscribe to the channel for more videos from me. Anyhow, before we get into this explaining what an Adolla Burst is, if you have not watched Fire Force, there will be some spoilers from the Fire Force series of the anime. Go and watch it now. It's currently on Season 2. So, if you do not want to be spoiled for Fire Force or have not watched it, please make sure to go and watch that anime series to understand more. And I will be explaining what an Adolla Burst is, but before I get into that, I just want to let all of you know that we are almost at 10,000 subscribers. Pretty big milestone. Really excited for that. So, let's push for it, guys. We're almost there. But anyway, enough self-promotion and advertising and whatnot. Let's just get right into what you came here for. What if Naruto had an Adolla Burst? Now, some of you might be wondering, what exactly is an Adolla Burst? And if you have not watched Fire Force, this will begin to some spoiler territory, so please be aware of that and leave now while you can. Anyhow, let's get into the explanation on how this is going to work. So, as those of you who've watched Fire Force know, an Adolla Burst is a special type of flame, a pure flame from the world known as Adolla, or Hell in the world of Fire Force. This Adolla is actually where the Evangelist, one of the main antagonists of the series Fire Force, comes from. For the sake of this What If, I'll be changing a few things about Adolla, as well as what it is in this What If. So, here we go. The Adolla Burst is a flame, which I just explained, and Adolla is where the Evangelist comes from. However, in this What If, Adolla will actually be a three-world connection. So we'll have two sides. So if you think of it like a wall and then you have two empty sides on each half, Adolla is the wall, and then the left side could be the world of Naruto, while the right's the world of Fire Force. Now, inside the middle of Adolla, this is where there's certain beings from this other dimension that cross over into the other world. So I decided that I'm going to take some Naruto lore here and some Fire Force lore and slap them together. So we have the Otsutsuki, which is a clan from Naruto that is able to warp dimensions. Sounds familiar, huh? Well, we also have the Evangelists and the people, the doppelgangers from the Fire Force world, Adolla, who can also go through different dimensions. So I'm going to make it so that the Otsutsuki clan was from Adolla to begin with. This means that we have more of a deeper connection between the Sage of Six Paths and Adolla. But anyway, that's just some basic lore of the story. Now we can actually get started on how Naruto has an Adolla Burst and get into the actual What If. So, here we go. Slice. We see, in great detail, a very, very small atom of air being slashed in half by a blade of heat. Suddenly we see, standing there, Naruto, at age 16, covered with flames across his body and the Kyuubi's chakra surrounding him, as we see Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Sakura standing there, as we see Kaguya facing off against Naruto and Sasuke in one of her dimensional realms. Naruto's looking up at Kaguya as Kaguya laughs. Kaguya now looks down to Naruto and Sasuke, as Naruto then taps into his grace. Here we go. Sasuke, you ready? Sasuke will look up as we see Naruto and him lock eyes. As soon as Naruto's whiskers begin to burn, we see flames coming off them at extremely high speeds. As soon as Naruto uses Hagoromo's grace, he would then burst forward, using nuclear fission to cause an explosion on a massive scale. By cutting the atoms in the air using his heat, he causes Kaguya's entire body to be completely disintegrated, before she suddenly reemerges using her dimensional powers to escape the attack. Damn it! Naruto would say. Suddenly Naruto goes flying across the entire dimension, as Kaguya blasts them with a spray of attacks. We see Naruto now pinned against the wall, as a giant attack of bone is coming towards his face. Suddenly Naruto's been moved out of the way, as we see blue stripes, and standing there, Shinra Kusakabe. Shinra would ask Naruto if he's alright, with Naruto hitting his head and asking Shinra how he got there so fast. Shinra would then say that he used some of his grace that he had left in order to save Naruto from that attack. Naruto would tell him that was a waste of energy, as they now dodge another attack. 16 years ago, We see the Kyuubi rampaging its way throughout Konoha, as then we see the 4th Hokage himself, Minato Namikaze, battling against it. Rasengan! Minato would slam Rasengan into one of the Kyuubi's legs, causing it to buckle. As the Kyuubi is now falling down to its leg, Minato would then use the Flying Thunder God Jutsu to teleport it away, as he now only has one option left. Reaper Death Seal! As Minato would be using the Reaper Death Seal in order to seal the Kyuubi within Naruto, he would look at his son as he sees sparks coming off of his face. What? As we see Naruto's eyes open, he begins to cry, as Naruto's first ever memory was about to be made, of his father's death to save him. This would be the awakening of Naruto's Adolla Burst, as the flame within Adolla now connects to Naruto's spirit itself, as we see Naruto's whiskers, which were normally black, begin to light up with red and yellow energy, as flames begin to burst off of him. With Minato so shocked, already using the Reaper Death Seal, him and Kushina would talk to Naruto, whose eyes are open as he feels tears coming down his face looking at the two of them. As Naruto would fall back asleep almost immediately from the energy of the Adolla Burst, the Kyuubi would be sealed within Naruto, as the years would begin to pass. 4 years later, we see Naruto walking through town. By now, Naruto has become well known as an arsonist and a prankster, with Naruto being one of the only children, if not the only child, to have unlocked a Kikka at such a young age, immediately. With them not even knowing what this Kikka is, with it actually being an Adolla Burst, Naruto has the ability to create heat and flames from his whiskers on his face. This gives him a sort of more fox-like effect than he actually would have hoped for, which causes the villagers to hate him even more for being the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, which he actually is aware of, because Naruto actually has his first memory of seeing a giant fox and a man with bright blonde hair dying, which Naruto still doesn't know who he is yet. That's Naruto's earliest memory, and it's what in fact caused him to awaken this power. Naruto wouldn't know what exactly this ability of his is, but he would still have fun playing around with it, as Naruto would use heat to burn things and could just cause general chaos around the entire village. With Naruto and Sasuke's fight at the academy starting up soon, Naruto would tell Sasuke as he tells him that just because he's the popular kid doesn't necessarily mean he's the strongest one. With Sasuke telling him to shut up and come at him, Naruto would walk towards Sasuke as he tells Sasuke if he doesn't want to die, then he needs to move. With Sasuke now confused, as Naruto's face would begin to glow. Naruto's whiskers would begin to extend, as tails of heat would come out of the sides, as he has now 6 tails of flame now shooting out of the sides of his face from all 3 of each side of his whiskers. With flames now covering his entire body with these whiskers, Naruto would throw a punch, as a wave of heat would then slam into Sasuke, sending him almost flying out of the circle. Damn it, Sasuke would think, as he runs towards Naruto, feeling his clothes beginning to burn. Naruto can actually take this heat, as Naruto uses his whiskers to wrap it around Sasuke and throw him around, with Naruto asking him if he thinks he's a freak just like everyone else. Suddenly, Naruto would be shocked as he feels a punch at his face, with Sasuke taking the burns. Every student in the academy would be absolutely mortified by these two particularly, as they see Sasuke becoming more animalistic as he's fighting Naruto, ripping and tearing at his hair, as Naruto and Sasuke are getting way out of hand. Iruka would actually force to stop the fight as neither one seemed to back down, with Naruto growling at Sasuke as he turns up the heat, with now bursts of fire coming out of the sides of his whiskers. "We're all the Uchiha like you, weaklings like you?" he would shout as Naruto's flames and anger begin to rise together, with his flames becoming red hot and bursting like jet flames. Naruto's eyes would become more enraged, as Sasuke tells him to take it back, as now he's kicking at Iruka, who is trying to break it up between the two of them. Naruto would turn around and run away, as everyone in class boos him as he leaves, telling him that was a dirty cheat. As Naruto runs away, we could hear him crying, as we see Naruto sitting on top of the stone heads of the Hokage, with him sitting here not knowing why he's so different. Naruto, who would have had this strange power and no one understood him, would feel way more isolated than he would have in the original, as Naruto didn't even know why he was being isolated against in the first place, but now he has a reason. Naruto is actually a lot stronger in this what if, because his flames give him an edge, slightly, as Naruto actually knows how to use them, similar to how Shinra could use his flames when he was a child from Fire Force. Naruto would be sitting there on the 4th Hokage stone head, looking down at the village below, crying and thinking about how much he hated Sasuke Uchiha, when we would see an old man walking up behind him and asking him what he's doing up there. Naruto would turn around to see the 3rd Hokage sitting down next to him, as Naruto would tell him to go away, with sparks flying off of his whiskers, as the 3rd Hokage would pat Naruto on the head. Naruto would be looking down now, as his heat has completely vanished and his whiskers have faded back to black. With Naruto sighing and asking what Hiruzen wants, the old man would tell Naruto and ask what happened today. Naruto would talk about the fight he had between him and Sasuke, and Hiruzen would listen thoughtfully. With Naruto now done with his explanation and explaining to Hiruzen why he was so mad, Hiruzen would tell Naruto that just because he was different doesn't mean that's a bad thing, as he would explain to Naruto the story of the first Hokage, Hashirama, who had the ability to actually create wood using wood style. Maybe this is similar to that, he would say, as Naruto would look up at him thinking about this. This would be the first time that Naruto, at this age, would think about him actually wanting to become the Hokage. Yeah, if I become the Hokage, then they won't think of me as a freak. They'll think that I'm... He thinks of an image, as he sees an image of him instead of Hashirama Senju being on this mountainside, being the Hokage and respected for his power instead of feared. Naruto would smile as he tells Hiruzen thanks, as he then runs off into the woods to go work on training. Naruto's chakra control is absolutely dismal. He can barely do any jutsu, if any, and his clone jutsu is terrible, because of Kurama, as I've stated. But the Adolla Burst does not require you to use the use of chakra. It actually uses oxygen, as you know, when Naruto's breathing. So he would actually be working on his breathing to create more flames and when he gets frustrated. As Naruto's in the woods, Naruto doesn't even really work on ninja skills, like jutsu or anything. He works mostly on powering up his Adolla Burst strength and his fire ability. By the time that Naruto is now 12, will be turning 13, the start of Naruto, Naruto is now adequately trained to the point that he is around the same level of skill that with his ability that Shinra has at the very start of Fire Force, meaning that Naruto now has complete control over his flame output. With Naruto now having skill over his flame output, he can actually do some very interesting abilities that he's learned. Naruto's ability with his whiskers is actually a lot different than just making flames. He can completely control where they move and react, creating whips using them as well as forming them together to create balls of flame, as a sort of primitive Rasengan without any spinning attack, just the heat. The day of the graduation exam would begin, with Naruto now being tasked to create a clone jutsu. Naruto would look at Iruka-sensei, as he knows that he can't do any jutsu pretty much. He asks Iruka if this is really necessary to test his skill, and that he would literally do anything else. Iruka would tell him that this is the graduation exam, there's no getting out of it, Naruto. With Naruto sighing, he would try his best to create the clone jutsu, with failing miserably, as he creates a lopsided clone that looks deformed and all like mucky, like some sort of Pokemon. He just sees it sitting there, and he looks at Iruka, who tries his best not to laugh. With Naruto now walking out of the room filled with shame, everyone would know he didn't pass if it had something to do with jutsu. With Naruto walking away, saying that stupid Sasuke is getting ahead of him again, Naruto would then walk out as he sees Mitsuki standing there, with Mitsuki calling him over. What's up, Mitsuki-sensei? He would say, with this silver-haired adult then telling Naruto that there's actually a second way that Naruto can pass the exam that Iruka hadn't told him about. Naruto would be shocked, thinking that Iruka was trying to hide something from him so he couldn't pass. Damn him, Naruto would think. Naruto being a lot more focused on his goal and actually a bit more spiteful towards Sasuke in this what-if version, we would see that Naruto would be listening to Mitsuki much clearer than he would before. I want you to steal the scroll from the Hokage's office and bring it to me. If you do that, then you'll pass the exam. A very specific scroll, he would say, as he describes the scroll of sealing to Naruto. Naruto would later that night use his flames to boost himself, pushing himself into the air of heat, and then climb up onto the Hokage's office, where he would then steal the scroll of sealing and run to the forest to meet up with Mitsuki. With him now finally getting there, Naruto would begin studying and actually learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu, allowing him to use it with his ample amounts of chakra that he possesses. With now Naruto possessing the Shadow Clone Jutsu as Mitsuki arrives, Naruto would now be standing there looking at him, as Mitsuki would tell Naruto to give him the scroll or he's going to die. Naruto would tell him that he thought he was going to graduate, with Mitsuki now explaining to him laughing that he just wanted to use the fox child to get the scroll to him. Naruto would be confused when this is when Mitsuki would tell him that he is the Nine-Tails Fox. Suddenly Naruto's eyes would open wide as he tells him that he's lying. Why do you think everyone hates you so much? You think just because you have some special little flames that you can use means that everyone would hate you? That's ridiculous, Mitsuki would laugh, as Naruto would now begin to shake, realizing that he's not lying. You mean that thing? Naruto would have a small flashback. He sees a ginormous fox roaring as it's about to devour a person. That thing is me? Naruto would be shocked as he clutches his chest, beginning to hyperventilate, as he's breathing in and out faster and faster. Flames begin to spark on his face as he begins to feel heat surrounding him. "You're lying! You're lying!" Naruto would say, as Naruto looks up towards Mitsuki, who's now laughing completely hysterically, as he tells Naruto to give him the scroll. Suddenly we see Iruka coming in just as Naruto is holding the scroll back, telling him he's not going to give it to him. Mitsuki would throw a giant shuriken as Iruka takes it in the back, with Naruto shocked, seeing his teacher now sacrificing himself for him, is what he's seemingly. With Naruto shocked at this display of affection, Naruto would tell Iruka that he'll handle it from here. Naruto would create the multi-shadow clone jutsu, creating 1,000 shadow clones and having all of them power up. "Let's use that one," he would say, as all the flames on their face would begin to extend into long lines of heat. Suddenly, they begin to whip around faster and faster, as Naruto would then use one of his only attacks he can use right now. All of the Naruto's clones would begin to spin around Mitsuki with a wave of flame now covering all of Mitsuki's body, as a tornado of heat would begin to surround him. Shadow Clone Jutsu style! Fire Tornado! As Naruto uses all of his clones, they suddenly burst as he's surprised, realizing that he used up all of their chakra. What? He would think. But my flames don't use chakra, he would think, as his eyes are now shocked, seeing Mitsuki standing there burnt to a crisp as he falls to the ground, completely unconscious, as the oxygen was sucked out of his lungs from the tornado. Naruto and Iruka would pick up Mitsuki and take him back to the village where he'd be healed, and then sent off to prison, obviously, for trying to steal the Scroll of Sealing. The third Hokage, Hiruzen, would have watched Naruto's endeavor and would be incredibly impressed with his skill, telling Naruto that he did an excellent job with the scroll, as he would hand the scroll back to Hiruzen himself. Naruto would blush, thanking Hiruzen, as the two of them have a closer relationship because of their conversation they had before, all those years ago. Naruto would then walk away, telling Hiruzen he'll let him hold on to that scroll for now, saying it definitely is pretty dangerous. Naruto can finally use the Shadow Clone Jutsu, even a more advanced version of the Clone Jutsu, and Iruka would graduate him, allowing Naruto to finally become a shinobi and begin his path to become the next Hokage. If you guys want to see the next part for What If Naruto Had an Adolla Burst, make sure to hit the like button, comment down below what you thought, and subscribe to the channel for more. I will see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.